Chris. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good, good. We're going to go over a few interview questions and hopefully you can I'm sorry. I'll just ask questions.
Sounds good.
um, what is the most difficult situation you have had to deal with at work and how did you handle it?
I think one of the most difficult situations I've had to have is being my age, dealing with people my age, but being in a leadership position. Sometimes it's hard to tell people who are your peers what to do and to get tasks done. I feel that by just being diligent and trying to let everyone know the situation and just being a strong friend outside of work isn't the same as being a leader at work. So I think the hardest thing I've had to do is sort of balance that power act with my job, as most of the people are the same age, and I do have a hierarchy of power between them. So
Describe your experience working, networking, or socializing with people from other cultures, ethnicities, and countries. How have you adjusted to or coped in situations involving other customs and culture?
well, at a young age, my father was in the military, and I got to live overseas. I spent 2 years in Okinawa, Japan. So from a young age, I got to experience a completely different culture than my own. And I grew up in Herndon, Virginia, and it's a very diverse area. So my high school was not just one race; it was many races. So playing sports with a diverse group of people and working with organizations through high school and then into college. I went to school in Ohio before transferring back to Virginia, and I've got to see different cultures and even different regions of the United States and how people react together. I feel as far as working with and understanding different cultures, you just have to understand that not everyone's like you, and just take everyone's thoughts with a grain of salt in a sense because you don't know where they're coming from. So you have to learn to be patient and learn to react based on how someone else is viewing their life and how somebody else is coming, into your position. So,
Tell me about a time when you had to use your communication skills to influence someone's or a group's opinion. How did you handle the situation? What obstacles or difficulties did you face, and how did you deal with them?
my freshman year of college would be a great example. I was chosen as the Brotherhood chair for my fraternity, and it's hard getting a group of 150 guys to agree on anything, let alone something that includes, fun activities on the days off from, class. So I was in charge of coming up with a philanthropic event that we were to, you know, be associated with, and everybody wanted to do something else. So I really had to intervene and get both sides of the story from every different member about what they wanted to do. And it was tough, but I just, I tried to list all the facts for everyone. I tried to get the best amount of work done for the most amount of people, and I felt that by having my strong communication skills, I was able to sort of make a happy medium for everybody in the situation.
What foreign languages or language do you speak conversationally and or fluently?
Unfortunately, I don't speak any conversational or fluent languages. I've had some years in Spanish, but I'd say I'm mediocre conversational at best.
How have you demonstrated your team building abilities in previous jobs or other activities?
Pretty much every job I've had to work in teams, especially being interns and entry level positions. You're not given a lot of one-on-one responsibilities and deadlines. Everything's done in a team-oriented situation. So I think just understanding your strengths and weaknesses and being honest about that with your team members and really talking instead of just assuming that someone's going to get the job done or assuming that you're going to do something. Just really being able to speak with other people is a really good characteristic and something that I've done. I've been very vocal about what my strengths and weaknesses are, and so that the best environment is possible and the most cohesion within the group is possible for a good product.
How would you describe your method of handling or dealing with change?
I feel I'm pretty good at change. I'm a very routine person, and so I'm very organized. But I think change is inevitable in any facet of life, especially within business and professional lifestyle. I do well with it. I think I try to look into the future a lot about change and why is the change happening and what can I do to change my current lifestyle or my current agenda or schedule based on the change that is happening around me. So I try to keep my head on a swivel per se to make sure that I always am aware of my surroundings. And like I said, change is inevitable, so it's good to sort of prepare for change.
Do you have a desire to travel abroad? Do you consider yourself adventurous?
I love traveling. It's a huge passion of mine. I'm actually leaving for South Africa in a few weeks to study abroad, and I'd love to live abroad. It'd be great. Like I said previously, I've had some experience living abroad in Japan. I've traveled to pretty much every continent except for Antarctica, but it's not really a traveling destination. I think I acclimate well with different cultures. I get along with people. I understand, and I like to learn. I think that's the biggest thing about being in an environment that's different from yours is the ability and the adaptability to want to be able to learn about different cultures and different people. I'm fascinated by different lifestyles and how somebody that's my age and the same background as me lives a completely different lifestyle just because they don't live in our country. So I think I'd acclimate well.
What are you looking to achieve in this position? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'd really like to be in a position to lead. I think being a manager in a communicative relocation travel position is great for me because I do understand travel. I'd like to take your company and build it to be one of the a relocation juggernaut. If you when you want to look at this in relocation business, you want to think Argentina and you want to think that this is something that I want to do. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. And I think that by just expanding the brand and branding the company and saying Argentina is the place you want to be, I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to get more people to move there. I'd like to live there. I'd like to expose most people to Argentina as possible.
What do you consider yourself to be an area in which you would like to grow more or a weakness to be improved?
I'd really like to slow down sometimes and not think so much far in the future. I'm a very organized and planned person, so I'm always sort of thinking about 3 or 4 steps ahead instead of sometimes just focusing in on the project at hand. I think that if I do that, I can actually just, I can learn to calm myself down more, especially at work. And the jobs that I do, that I am on, that I am a part of, I think that'd be a little more, focused and concise if I just kind of take a step back and realize, okay, let's stay here first, and then we can build on to the second, the third step, instead of looking at the fourth step when I'm on the first.
Describe the most challenging ethical decision you have encountered in the workplace and how you dealt with it.
Uh, I was working in retail for a summer job when I was in high school, and I think, especially at that time in my life, it was first couple jobs that I had, and I'm not really sure, how what the business practices are in the real world setting. And we had a issue with a fellow employee who was stealing, so I had a big ethical decision because I wasn't sure what I was really supposed to do. He was older than me. I was new on the job. He had been working there for many years, but I decided that it wasn't really acceptable for him to be doing that. So I did talk to my manager, and I took the proper steps to informing the management, letting know that there had been some in-store theft, and they dealt with it accordingly. But I think that was a tough decision because I wasn't really sure how to do anything in the real world yet as far as business goes because I was so young and I didn't know what the proper steps were. But that was probably the most ethical problem I have. So, thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.